support.
The maestro, please!
End of the month, and boy do we have a song to talk about. Today we'll be going over Golden by HUNTR.
HUNTR.
HUNTR is a fictional K-pop trio consisting of Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, given their actual singing voices are done by EJ, Audrey Nuna, and Ray Ami. Considering that they only exist within the movie that they're in, they only have 3 other songs even in existence. That being said, they all charted on the Hot 100. And lastly,
background.
So oddly enough, this isn't even the first soundtrack song we're doing. We did the first one way back when we did
We don't talk about Bruno, no. We don't talk.
Regardless, as it's a movie about a K-pop group, there is an actual background to this song. So the quick and short of it is that they're actually demon hunters, but their power to keep the demons out of the real world is through their songs and voices, hence them also being a K-pop group. They're at the peak of their popularity, and because of their popularity, the Hanmoon, which is sort of this barrier that exists between the demon world and the real world, is on its way to becoming golden. Once it's golden, it'll actually permanently keep the demons out forever. Given that was the plan until a demon boy band came in and messed everything up.
You're my soda pop, my little soda pop.
If you want the rest of it, go watch the movie. Golden was released as a single back on the 4th of July, 2025. It charted the following day at number 81 and worked its way all the way up the charts to currently number 2 as the beginning of August. Back to the actual real world, the song got so popular that David Guetta even did a remix of it. So as I said before, the song actually is off of the official soundtrack for the movie. The movie came out along with its soundtrack back on June 20th of 2025. Oddly enough, Golden is the second single, the first one being the Twice version of
I don't think you're ready for the takedown. Break you into pieces in a world of pain.
Of the 3 singers who actually perform for their singing voices, only EJ is listed as a writer. In addition, we also have Ito, Teddy, 24, Mark Sonnenblick, and Ian Eisendrath. Ito Zamislani, also known as just Ito, is actually no stranger to the pop music scene, especially when working on movie songs like
I know what you did last summer. Just like to me, there's no other. I know what you did last summer.
given he has a number of credits outside of the movie industry as well, like
Take me as I am, swear I do the best I can, say I'm not.
Moving on to Teddy and 24, Teddy being Teddy Park and 24 being Jung Hun Sol, are actually very known in the K-pop industry as well. The two of them actually have very similar credits, and their most popular are actually the same too, those being
Close with the kiss, so he call me ice cream. Catch me in the fridge, right where the ice be.
and
We got that vibe, baby.
finally, we have Mark Sonnenblick and Ian Eisendrath, given they're more movie types than music types, so this is actually their really first big pop music hit. Golden is released solely by Republic.
Form.
Golden is an electro-pop song, is 3 minutes 15 seconds, is in G major, E minor, or C mixolydian, depending on what you feel like, is in 12/8 time, given there's a section of 4/4, and is 123 beats per minute. After the short intro, we get Rumi with the first verse, followed closely then by Zoe and Mira.
I was a ghost, I was alone.
We then get the pre-chorus,
I'm done hiding, now I'm shining.
the chorus,
We're going up, it's our moment.
and a post-chorus.
I'm done hiding, now I'm shining.
We then get the second verse, done entirely by Rumi.
Waited so long to break these walls down.
The second pre-chorus, also done entirely by Rumi.
'Cause we are hunters, voices strong
And then the second chorus, which has Rumi, Zoe, and Mira all back together again. That continues into the post-chorus, as well as the outro. And then we also have a similar instrumental section to finally end the song.
Vox.
The Vox, or vocal synth, does basically just do the same thing at the very beginning, at the very ending of the song, doing these eighth notes, going A, B, C, B, A, G sharp.
Chords.
Additionally, in the very beginning of the song, we actually hear the chords played on a sort of pad synth, going C major over G, then G major, D major over A, and then E minor over B. In the first verse, right after the intro, they do change a little bit. They're doing the same chords, but the G major chord is actually an octave higher, and it's just doing on that first beat. Later on during the chorus, it actually changes things up, still doing the same chords with a little bit of flavor, but they're in different inversions. We have C major over E, then D major, then a quick G major over D, then back to D major, but now over A, before finally ending on an E minor over B. In the following phrase, it continues what it's been doing with the same chords and different inversions. The first two are the same, C major over E and D major, but note that the following G major, D major, and E minor chords are now all in root position.
Bass.
The bass comes in right at the first verse, doing these straight eighth notes, going C, G, D, E. It then basically does that same thing again, given all the notes are now held out, the G is separated over 2 octaves, and the D and E are an octave higher than they were previously. We then go back to the straight eighth notes for the chorus, a bar of C going up for a bar of D, 2 bars going down to G, then to F sharp, and then finally for a bar of E. The second pre-chorus sees a return going back to the long held out notes, starting on E, going down to D, going down to B, and then up to C. With the phrase right after that, going back up to E, going down to B, up to C, and then back up to D.
Synth.
The first synth we hear is actually during the first pre-chorus, doing these longer held out notes every 2 beats, going to the G, then to the A, then to a G and B figure, going down to the D, then a D and F sharp figure, then a G, then an E and A figure, and then finally an F sharp. And over that we have an ARP, doing arpeggiations as ARPs do, C major over E, G major over B, D major over A, and E minor over B. The following phrase essentially repeats that, with the ARP pretty much doing the same thing. The melody is slightly different, and it holds that D and F sharp at the very end, along with the ARP doing a D major over A chord. Later during the post-chorus, another synth comes in, basically kind of simulating the main vocal line.
Piano.
During the second verse, everything switches to 4/4 for a time, and everything gets stripped back texturally, so we really just have vocals and piano. The piano does an E minor chord going to a D major over F sharp, then switching to a D major over A chord, and then a C major over G. The following phrase basically repeats that whole thing, except the starting chord is now a G major over D chord, as opposed to a root position E minor chord.
Strings.
Following the second verse and into the second pre-chorus, we switch back to a 12/8 time, and we have this high string line going over everything. We have that very high G going down to the F sharp, going up to the A, and then going back to the G. And then in the following phrase, hitting that high B, dropping down to the F sharp on top of the staff, the G above that, and then the A above that.
Verse.
So Rumi starts off the first verse very low in her range, fairly spaced out, and we have some emphasis on the ha's with the backup vocals and the ah's at the end, which are in 3-part harmonies.
I was a ghost, I was alone. 두어진 길 속에.
Basically continuing that same idea into her second phrase, although she starts to get higher into her range, more on the bar as opposed to below it.
Given the throne, I didn't know how to believe I was the queen that I'm meant to be. I live.
We then get Zoe singing with herself mostly in octaves, and we still have those backup vocals doing those lovely harmonies underneath her.
I live two lives, try to play both sides, but I couldn't find my own place.
Rumi then comes in essentially doing the same thing, singing with herself in octaves, but her backup vocals are more unpitched, a bit more aggressive, which makes sense given, what she's singing about.
Caught a problem child, 'cause I got too wild, but now that's how I'm getting paid. Could I see on stage?
The second verse starts off drastically different. As I said before, we are now in 4/4 time, and the rhythm is a lot more free-flowing, given Rumi, while still, I guess, maybe in the lower side of her range, isn't as low as she was in the first verse.
Waited so long to break these walls down, to wake up and feel like me.
She continues that, but as we get to the end of this phrase, you can see she's starting to do the triplet figures, which cues us in that we're going to be switching back to the 12/8 time.
Put these patterns all in the past now, and finally live like the girl they all see.
Pre-chorus.
Going back to the first pre-chorus, which means we're back in 12/8 time, starting off with Rumi really flexing her range, the lowest note being E, and the highest note also being E, but an octave higher.
I'm done hiding now, I'm shining like I'm born to be.
The following phrase continues that same idea within that same range, but now we have backup vocals from first Zoe, and then Mira, and then Zoe and Mira.
We dreaming hard, we came so far now, I believe.
The second pre-chorus, you see Rumi very much flexing her range. She's going all the way down to the C below the staff.
No more hiding, now be shining like I'm born to be.
Only for in the very next phrase getting back to that E on top of the staff.
'Cause we are hunters, voices strong and I know I believe.
Chorus.
Getting to the part that's stuck in everyone's head, we start off with Rumi in the upper part of the staff, and then we have Mira singing the below part.
We're going up, 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 it's our moment. You know together we're glowing. Gonna be golden.
As that continues in the following phrase, Zoe now comes in between both of them.
Up, up with our voices. Going to get you so on it. Gonna be golden.
The second chorus is pretty much exactly the same, except how Rumi takes us into it. She starts off high and then goes down to the E, as opposed to starting lower and then going up to the E.
We're going up, it's our moment. You know together we're glowing. Gonna be golden.
Post-chorus.
The craziness that is the post-chorus has 4-part harmonies. We have Rumi on top singing with herself in octaves. Then we have Zoe in between those two octaves, and then Mira also between those two octaves.
Oh, I'm done hiding now, I'm shining like I'm born to be.
Honestly, it's actually quite fascinating just following on all the different lines and how they move through it. And also, yes, Rumi's extremely high.
Oh, our time, no fears, no lies, that's who we're born to be.
Outro.
So the outro starts off with Rumi kind of in the middle of her range doing these repeated 8th note figures, but underneath that we have the backing vocals doing these 3-part harmonies underneath her.
You know we're gonna be golden. We're gonna be glowing like every night.
And if that weren't enough, we go back to what we were doing pretty much in the post-chorus. We have Mira, Zoe, and Rumi in octaves with herself, all singing 3-part harmonies, in addition to the backup vocals, which are also doing different 3-part harmonies.
You know that it's our time, no fears, no lies, that's who we're born to be.
For a song made by a group that technically only exists within fiction, boy is this catchy. And it's actually funny, because they're supposed to be a K-pop group, yet most of their songs, in fact all of their songs, are predominantly in English, minus a Korean line here or there. Regardless if they're real or not, and regardless of what language they sing in, the movie they're from has become one of the most popular on Netflix of all time, and because it's all based around music, all of their songs are becoming wildly popular. And yes, it's currently only at number 2, but I imagine as this popularity continues, they're No, but really though, both Huntrix and the Saja Boys have become more popular than the actual K-pop groups that exist in reality. It's actually quite astonishing.
I'm not hiding now.